Let's determine the optimal location for a non-alcoholic bar or cafe in Los Angeles for a specific demographic using Business Analyst Web app that's part of the ArcGIS family of products or ecosystem. I'm going to briefly demonstrate some capabilities and some data sets that you might dig into, but rest assured there's a whole lot more tutorials, ESRI, community discussions, lessons, and more on this particular tool, which is very powerful and yet easy to use even if you're not a GIS professional. Let's dig into Business Analyst Web. I go to bao.arcgis.com. I'm verifying that I've got USA data located in here. I can use this same tool for other countries, depending on the country and the open data attitudes and policies in place in that country. Your mileage may vary. You're going to get more or less data depending on where you are located and what you want to do. But I'm going to create a project now that I've got the USA data set selected, and optimal site for Los Angeles non-alcoholic cafe/bar with a certain demographic and income level that I'm interested in. So as this cranks away, it is going to create that project, and it's online. It is in Business Analyst Web, and that is a SaaS-based software as a service tool. Your services, your data, your variables, your mapping capabilities, they're all online, nothing to install. So I'm going to go ahead and open that project now and go ahead and look at what I've got available to me. Notice that we've got some Gen AI assistants that you might want to take a look at that make some of this process potentially quite a bit easier by some text or voice prompts. Right now I'm going to go to the upper right and I'm going to search for my study area, and I can create a site, as I'll do later on in this video, of a certain neighborhood. So I can create polygons or other kinds of shapes to identify my study area. But right now I'm just going to go to the Los Angeles area, and I'm going to focus on the west part of LA County, just west of downtown. Just to keep things manageable, you can certainly look at the whole county. There's over 10 million people in Los Angeles County, as probably most of you watching this are aware. And so you've got lots of census tracts, lots of zip codes, lots of points of interest, businesses, and other things. But take a look at these variables. You can browse all variables, as I'm doing right here. And there's a new data browser. So you can take a tour of that if you want to. I'm going to go ahead and look at income. Just in income alone, you've got hundreds of variables at your fingertips. This is amazing. That's one of the best things I feel about Business Analyst Web. It has so much data available, not just for income and population change, demographics and things like that, but also behavioral variables. Who has more than 2 dogs and 2 cats? Who buys diet energy drinks? Who buys lottery tickets? Who's bought something at Etsy for about art in the last 12 months? Who attends the symphony? It's amazing. Not individuals, but it's all aggregated, of course, by census tract, block group, and zip code, and counties and states certainly as well. But the data at your fingertips is amazing. It really is powerful. So I'm going to go ahead, as you can see here, looking at disposable income, 75 to 100,000, and I've got a results. I've got the mean. I've got some other data at my fingertips. I also have a map, of course, at my fingertips, and I can do some further analytics on this. I can create an infographic, as we'll do later on in this video, or maybe in part 2 of 3 or 3 of 3 of this video. But now I've got a simple choropleth map looking at, as I browse around these particular zip codes, I'm looking at the disposable income, and notice that I have it set to a index. So anything over 100 is going to be over the national average of that 75 to 100,000. And this is in 2024, so you got to pay attention to the year with all of these. You've got historical data at your fingertips, current data at your fingertips from the American Community Survey, from the U.S. Decennial Census, from surveys and data sets that ESRI has purchased and put into this tool. You also have projections into the future. Now what I'm doing is I'm looking at a very powerful thing inside Business Analyst Web, and that is to be able to filter the data. I can filter right on the histogram if I want to. That's the easiest way to filter. There's other ways to filter. Just like in other tools inside a GIS package, there are multiple ways to do things. This isn't the only way to do it. But notice that I've got some really pretty powerful techniques at my fingertips here looking at these filtering. So I can see, starting to understand some patterns and relationships and trends here. I'm going to go back to the data browser now. This time I'm going to look at mean income. And even on the mean income, I'm going to look at average household income. Again, pay attention to the year that you're looking at. In this case, it's 2022 data from the American Community Survey. And I've got average household income now. And wow, I've got a lot at my fingertips. I've got that simple demographics here. I can look at the top 5, the bottom 5. I've got those capabilities there, as well as browsing around on the map and seeing from those pop-ups what the average household income is from the American Community Survey 5-year data in there. And I can also filter, so I can see that, okay, if I'm just interested in the higher income households by, I believe it's census tract in here. It may be zip code still. I'm not looking at the left side, but taking a look at, okay, that makes it Beverly Hills, and up in there, traditionally that's the higher income, one of the higher income areas. But you can see the patterns and try to make some sense of the demographics as you think about the optimal site for a location of a service or a business or anything else that you're interested in doing in this area. So creating a custom variable, let's just start kind of simply here, choosing a year. Let's keep it at 2024. And then we're going to look at the age range. Let's say we're interested in looking at something like 18 to 34-year-olds. So we can actually type in here. We don't have to use the slider bars if we don't want to, but we can also certainly look at the slider bars as well. So 18 to 34, and I'm going to look at both males and females here in the Los Angeles area. But remember, this is a whole USA data set, and you've got data for other countries as well. Maybe not for this kind of granularity, but many countries are available, and I've taught with this tool in Malaysia, in Japan, in Germany, in England, and elsewhere around the world. So now I'm going to save that name. It's important to keep organized your variables, your layers. Make sure you don't just call them data set 1 or variable 2, variable 3. You're going to have a lot of variables and layers, so you want to be organized about it. So I'm going to change look at this. I can change this to percentage, and now I've got something really powerful. I've got the average household income, and then I've got this custom variable for both ages, 18 to 34, both meaning males and females. So now I can see that the darkness, and I've got the size. So I've got a bivariate map. The darkness is the household income, and the size is the percentage of 18 to 34-year-olds. So I'm looking at the size of these. I've seen in the southeast corner of my study area, it's over in Whittier. Maybe there's a college over there, or maybe there's just a lot of 18 to 34-year-olds for some reason. And I can here create I've got measure tools, so I can see what size we're looking at in terms of area or perimeter or length. If I'm looking at a business and where's the nearest competitor, I want to figure out what the length is. I can do straight line distance. I can do drive time. I can do walk time. I can do bicycle time, truck time, lots of things that I can do here. So let's go ahead and I can change the style options. I'm going to go for above and below now. There's a lot of guidelines in cartography. There are few rules, few hard and fast rules. If this helps you visualize things better, by all means, try these techniques and use them. So now I've got above and below. Now I see the reds really stand out, don't they? And that's fascinating because that is the higher incomes. And then again, size is the percent of 18 to 34-year-olds. So if I'm looking at higher income and more 18 to 34-year-olds, I'm going to look at a larger red dot would be my goal. I can see one there down south central area, and then also up here where I'm looking in the sort of west-southwest of West Hollywood. Interesting. Is there a college campus there? Is there a lot of apartments? There's a lot of 20-somethings. Is there industries that employ that age bracket? Just all kinds of questions come up with inquiry-laden implications. And also ethical implications. Where does the data come from? How do you know if you can trust it? All those things are important here as well. So now let's go ahead and say, what else can I do with this? What about the certain kind of businesses? Now I'm going to search for non-alcoholic cafes, bars, etc. I don't actually see that. So here's where I might want to look at the NAICS codes or the SIC codes and try to zero in. Is it coffee shops? Is it something else that I should be entering in here so that I can actually get a sense?